Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Going Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Going Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
What's up, everybody? Casey and George back on September 17th, 2024, episode 169 of the Going Bracket Racing live show. We've been doing this quite a while, and it's all thanks to people over there at TSR Racing Products. Go to them for your turbo 350s, 400s, 727s, and of course your Power Glide transmission parts. BRG 3D printed parts, anything you need, Brian Garrett will print it up for you for high density polymers and plastics. Any kind of custom parts you need, Brian Garrett's your man. Get those on your race car. Don't increase the weight on your car with all that metal. Get some of that fancy new technology involved in there. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. Stickers, shirts, brochures, anything you need for your business. Hit up Syntex Printing in Temple, Texas. Driven racing oil. Best oil to run in your race vehicle. And bottom line, you want to use code GBR. Get yourself 10% off your order. They sell cleaning products as well. Work great, especially if you parked your trailer under a tree for a while and got too lazy to wash it. That Speed Clean takes it right off there. I'm telling you right now, me and Dad just cleaned up a trailer with that stuff, and it's legitimately the best stuff you can get for, I want to say it's like $6 a can. Make that trailer look as new as it could possibly be. Don't be lazy, guys. Wax those trailers. But if you can't, use that Driven Racing Oil Products Speed Clean on it and clean it all up. GBR 10, get yourself 10% off. Proform Parts, those are the guys that you can thank for all these giveaways we're doing at the end of every single month. We're giving away an alternator this month. All you got to do is be a subscriber to the YouTube channel. It's 100% free. Just click the subscribe button that's somewhere right in this region right here. Click that subscribe button and you're automatically entered for free to win the alternator this month. We have giveaways all the way through the new year. Thanks to Proform Parts. Visit proformparts.com to look at all their shop tools, carburetors, alternators, starters, radiators, accessories, much, much more. Anything you want, proformparts.com has it. Crew Chief Pro software. The weather's turning over there, and Don Higgins got you figured out. If you can't figure out what you need to dial, all you got to do is open up that laptop, and Don's already got it figured out for you. crewchiefpro.com. Find you some of that Crew Chief Pro software. If you want any sort of GBR merch, support the channel. Get some of these shirts like I'm wearing right now. Get one of them tree chopper shirts if you think that you're feeling a little frisky. You think that you can be a Bart Nelson out there, which we'll talk a little while later about that. Go to 8thmileapparel.com, support the Going Bracket Racing channel, and support bracket racing whenever you're at the grocery store or in your office or wherever you're going. So, man, that was a new one, man. I'm not used to doing it live. Me and Champ had to record it last weekend. We don't know how to go live. Whenever you're not here with us, we can't do that. You're the tech-savvy guy amongst us. So I guess I should say welcome back, George.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that so? I can't get live on Facebook right now. I think I'm about this close, guys. Hang in there. I'm almost there, but recap. Hey, Casey, man, thanks for the welcome back, dude. I don't know what's going on. It's like you get ready to turn 40, and all of a sudden you got to go to the doctor 15 times in a week. That ain't how many times I did. I was exaggerating a little bit, but it was like 2 or 3. And I don't like needles, so I almost fainted twice. Casey, they had to stick me with a needle. Anyway, I'm glad to be back, back talking about some drag racing, man, and haven't even gotten to race my own car in quite a while, to be honest, Casey. But looking forward to that too, maybe next week. So, what about you, man? I hadn't talked to you in a while on here.
And I've been working on a house that. So, I've been working on this house project literally 7 days a week for this is going on the 5th week right now. I think I'm finally going to get this project done tomorrow. I haven't really got to do a lot of racing. I've been sending Matthew Medlin out with my car whenever they've been racing at Galat, and he's been doing pretty good in it out there. So it's nice to see the car doing good, even though I can't be driving it, but it's good to get everything out there and, promote the sponsors that help keep GBR alive on the map and everything. But yeah, man, it's been crazy. This, to put it into perspective, the size of the house that I'm working on right now, it's a $40 million house that I'm working on, and the hallway, there's 2 main hallways in this house, and they total up to more square footage in the first floor hallways than my entire house has.
Wow.
So the master bedroom alone, the master bedroom and master bathroom is 1,000 more square feet than my entire house.
Right.
So it's unbelievable. I don't know if my camera might have glitched out there for a second, but I think it's come back now. It says active.
Yep.
So
yep.
Yeah, anyway, man, it's I don't know. It's been one thing after another, but I think I'm finally going to get that out the door, and I'm finally going to be able to get back in the driver's seat and get something going on this weekend. So, but man, I'll tell you what, last weekend's OG Million, it's just, I feel like we say this every single year. This is the 5th season of Going Bracket Racing Live whenever we're doing this podcast or whatever you want to call it, live show, podcast, a little bit of everything over here. But, dude, I say it every single year. The OG Million never ceases to amaze me, and it's always for one reason or another. But what were your feelings about it?
There's a whole lot, man. Luckily, we got a whole hour to talk about them. You know what I mean? But first and foremost, I wasn't there. Okay, that's the first thought I'm gonna throw out there, and I'm gonna make a promise right here, right now. I'm going to the OG Million next year, in one type of capacity or not. If I get into the whole show, I'm doing it. If I can't, well, I'm just gonna run the smaller races around it, like a lot of guys did. There was only 780, 770 some entries in the dang 50s and 100s, So that's the first thing on my mind, Casey, is what do I have to do personally to get my behind to the OG Million? And then what I got to do to get you to get on the plane and get there too, I guess, man. We need to run that OG Million, I'm telling you. And it's in our hometown,
Yeah, it's a bucket list thing for sure for me, man. It's all a matter. I mean, you remember what it was like. Your boys are a little older now. Mine's 2. So it's kind of tough to get away for that amount of time. But I'm gonna, one of these days, I'm definitely gonna go run it. I mean, it's crazy, man. I'll give you a quick for everybody who didn't get a chance to see the show. Cooper Chun wins the Friday, I guess I messed up on my days. Tuesday, 20K
right there,
warm-up.
Let's talk about that right off the bat. Cooper Chun, I saw him on Facebook searching for a car to drive. All of a sudden, I see old Chris Sullivan jump in there and say, "I got you." So, I mean, it's not like he wasn't in the best of the best equipment, number one. That dude was making something serious happen at the finish line the whole weekend. So that's a good call out on Cooper Chun, number one.
He was making some waves to get. I think he lined up at the starting line 16 rounds that day.
Right.
And I've been joking with Chris. I've been calling that his moneymaker car. I can't believe he keeps trying to sell it because of course, Chris himself was in it earlier this year, won that brand new Folk car, sold that car, and then now Cooper got in this car, won $20,000 in it. I feel like that car has won something else. That might be the one that Chris won the Division III Super Comp Championship in a couple years ago. But dude, Cooper Chun, I mean, I want to say he won like 32 rounds over the course of this race.
I ain't gonna doubt it. He was 491 and 492 and everybody to death and double O to boot. I mean, One thing for to get your machine running dead on like that, but it's another thing to just stay completely parabolic on the tree. That was nuts. How it was hitting
how I like to do. I wrote down all the runs here, and the day that Cooper won. So the very first day when he flew in, showed up, got in a car that, as far as I'm aware, never driven before, gets in this car. He starts off, he's 10 on the tree, 9 on the tree, 12 on the tree. Then after that, he's 6, 6, 13, 3, 19, 9, 0, 7, 7, 6, 4, 7, 5. I mean, that's a spread right there, you know?
Spread, dude. I mean, that's double average for sure. That's definitely double average.
Unbelievable. If you throw out that 19, his worst light over 16 runs, mind you, his worst light other than that 19 is a 13. So, I mean, it's crazy. And then, of course, Go ahead.
I'm gonna say I didn't even know who Cooper Chun was until I was playing that Roblox game, and he was on there playing on there and beating everybody up on that game too. So that was the first time I've ever seen him race in person, I think, or on Motor Mania. At least I had not known to pay much attention to him, but I was definitely paying attention this weekend, dude.
Yeah, I feel like he might be from Seattle or something. I've heard
He's on the
Troy
West Coast
Abercrombie
somewhere,
talk
isn't he?
about him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he might actually even be he might even be right over the border in Canada. I can't remember, but I know Troy Abercrombie talks about him a lot. And anytime he shows up anywhere, I feel like I hear his name a whole bunch at the Vegas Fling all the time.
Right.
But
Right.
obviously, no slouch in Cooper Chun, that's for sure. Again, Chris, I was just texting him on Facebook over here. So, Chris, why are you selling that red car, man? It's the one that makes you money. I mean, it's paying for the blue car. So, so I would
paid off. He won that dragster, didn't he?
I don't think he won that one.
But
he
he won
sold the
one.
car that he won.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think he ought to think about just putting that car in the corner and letting people fly in and drive
Fly in
for
and
him or
get it,
something.
you know?
that's just my 2 cents. But
Hey, you might be
he needs to
getting you
reconsider.
a higher gun, Chris. Casey's got a pretty good idea there. Hey, fly Casey in so he can race OG next year, Chris. I need to see him at the track with me. We ain't staged up. We'll try to stage away from each other to the final, you know. But fly Casey out there. Let's get him in the car.
Yeah, let's see. So
Yeah, buddy.
Brian Whitworth wins the 50K the next day over Jeff Serra in the finals, breaks his car the third round or so of the million, gets in a different car and drives it down to the split round, which we can talk about the split, I guess, after we get to that point. But dude just gets in a car and just keeps on motoring through, ends up being the MVP of the entire weekend.
I'm not gonna say when it's your week. It's your week. Even because that goes without being said in this sport. I mean, if you're either going to be on a string or you're not going to be on a string in this sport. It's one thing to say it in your own stuff, okay? But to break your car, set it aside over there in the corner, and jump in some. I don't know if it was his car still. I think it was somebody else's, but I'm not 100% sure. But to jump in that car and still do what you was doing in your white car, yeah, you deserved it. You deserved MVP, man. I thought it was either going to be you or Cooper Chun, like Casey was saying. I mean, the dude, he put on a whole lot of laps, but man, that's very impressive to see TB Promotions, Brian Whitworth, do what he did at that race, man. That was nice to watch. I watched every single round, as a matter of fact. I don't think I missed a round of the OG. I was locked in. For once in a while, I was locked in.
And to be honest with you, I think if Brian Whitworth's car hadn't broken, because I feel like it actually broke kind of at one point and then it totally broke the next time.
Yeah,
and he finally said to heck with it.
I think I saw a interview with him and TJ Pruitt, drag coverage. Everybody knows TJ Pruitt. If you don't know him, you better watch out for those big old alligator arms. He put them on you, be hurt. But I think they were pitted next to each other. And I remember hearing TJ say, man, I came back to the trailer. You was working on something, thrashing. And you come back, you get the win. You come back, you were thrashing. And then you didn't go to sleep till like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. Because I think that's when he won that 50 grander. It was like 4 in the morning, wasn't it? So
it was late, man. 740 entries that day, I want to say.
He said he woke up, he was working again. So I think there was some that car might have been breaking itself slowly, and Brian was either high speed taping it together or just using some pretty good noggin, some old Napa know-how, I guess.
I'll tell you what, I think that if that car wouldn't have broken, I was really thinking that Brian was going deep because he was already on a roll from a couple days before, and I was pretty certain Brian might have been getting it done that day had he been in his car. But I mean, he did really well in the other car too. So I mean, who knows? But of course, Larry Piper wins over, I think, guy out there by you, Talon Farmer, 100K in the See, my days are so messed up because one day it rained out, and then they combined a day, and then it starts on Tuesday, and it messes me all up. But anyway,
you finished it on. I think they finished it during time runs for the OG Million, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, they did.
I think Talon was dead zero, just barely missed her. Yeah, he barely missed a tree. He was dead zero. So Larry Piper took it. Yep. Pretty neat. So that's a twin, dude. I keep telling you about those farmer boys out here. Ty's the other one. When my dad runs into him, is 13 total. Ty, I'm put you in chokehold when I see you next time, but I'm just kidding. But 13 total doesn't get the round. So it'll get you the best losing package, but it won't get you the round, dude.
Dude, it's unbelievable. And we're going to get into this now because obviously we're going to talk about the OG Million champion of the 29th annual Mickey Thompson $1 Million Drag Race, the biggest race in bracket racing, the U.S. Nationals of the bracket racing scene. And Bart Nelson gets it done. 3 total in the finals to Gage Burch's 8 total, which probably would have beat 99% of all runs that were even made that weekend. And Gage runners up. Yeah, Gage runners up with 8 total. I mean, that is by far, as soon as it happened, I was like, that had to have been the closest OG final ever. TJ then confirmed that with Randy Folk, and yes, it was. But I mean, I guess first of all, we might as well just talk about Bart Nelson because it wasn't just a one-time thing. This wasn't a it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't just to accidentally hit it in the final and you won this huge race and this is what it is. The way Bart Nelson got to that final is I wrote all of his runs down, obviously, too. His worst light after 12 runs was a 15. Okay? So he's 4, 5, 6, 3, 3, misses it in 15, 7, 3, 1, 8, 8, 6, 2. Now, everybody's like, okay, cool. Well, he's practice tree racing. He was hitting the tree that day. No, you don't understand. 8 out of these 12 runs, Bart Nelson is better than 15 total. Package total. Okay. And I always say 15 total is what it takes to win on average. Well, not against Bart Nelson. No. Not 8 out of 12 times. Now, let me tell you this, George, because this is what's really mind blowing. 5 out of those 12 runs, he was better than 10 total. And yeah. So 5 out of those 12 runs, if you are not 00 on the tree, you don't even have a shot. And actually, there's only 1 run in that entire deal where you would have had to be 9 dead 0 or better because he's 7 total, 9 total, 8 total, 10 total, 12 total, 5 total, 18 total, 14 total, 3 total. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we always say on this show that the OG Million, there's a reason why it's the biggest race. And this year, the 29th annual OG Million in 2024 is quite possibly going down as the most difficult bracket race to win, at least in OG Million history, and quite possibly the hardest. Like, I can't think of a race this year that I have been so impressed with the runs, not of one guy, not of just Bart Nelson, but just as a whole.
General.
I just feel like everything stood out so much to me, saying, wow, everybody really wants to win this race, you know?
Right. Hey, you know what? Let's dissect that in a minute, too. We're going to cut to a break here real quick and let the marketing partners get a few words out to you. But when we come back from the show, Casey, let's go into what that really looked like, man, because you're saying a whole mouthful. It seemed as if it was David versus Goliath in every single match, except it was like Goliath versus Goliath because everybody was throwing some serious laps down. So hang in there. We're going to come back and dissect that whole OG Million, if I can get my cursor over here. All right, hang in there, guys.
Innovation never sleeps at Proform, and we're making our popular Black Race Series carburetors even better by adding new features that will set them apart from the competition. Some of the newest features include a newly designed main body with contoured Venturas for better airflow and a new inside and outside 2-step down leg boosters for increased atomization and better throttle response. Also, newly designed fuel bowls with increased internal baffling for better fuel control and the lower fuel ramp for reduced turbulence. There are also some new upgrades to point out. The fuel bowls now both include nitrofill floats, and the throttle base plate now has slab shafts for better airflow. These new features combine with the fully adjustable high-flow main body with screw-in air bleeds, billet metering blocks, high-performance billet throttle base plate, and aluminum fuel bowls with sight glass windows makes for a great street strip carburetor that packs a punch.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
All right. Welcome back. Going Bracket Racing. I think it's episode 169. I do a good job of losing count, messing it up on the Facebook and the YouTube side every now and then. But thanks for joining us, guys. You know we can't do this without TSR Racing Products, Proform Parts, Crew Chief Pro, Driven Racing Oil, BRG Motorsports 3D printed parts, 8th Mile Apparel's out there somewhere with all the GBR merch. Saw some pretty cool pictures on our Facebook page, Casey, that you posted from Troy's race. So shout out to everybody who won a Tree Chopper shirt there. Ken Jones Performance. I heard you going on somebody's car that's near and dear to us, Casey. I'll tell you offline. I don't know if he wants his business out there in the air like that, but you gained a customer from old Going Bracket Racing out there at Ken Jones Performance. You guys need a good alcohol carburetor. You know where to go. That's all I got to tell you. Syntex Printing, Team 14 Motorsports. Those guys over at Your Ad Here, George and Casey, they do a heck of a job marketing partners. If you guys need to get your product out to the racing community, stop right here at goingbracketracing@gmail.com. Excuse me. So Casey, right before commercial break, I said let's dive into this thing, man. Let's dive into the fact that the OG Million was probably round for round. It was the best competition I've seen in many years. I can't think of another OG Million that was close to it. Otherwise, I'll probably be comparing both races together. The one thing I want to bring off right off the bat, Casey, is the fact that the track, we've said it forever about worldwide technology. We know it as Gateway. That track was phenomenal all weekend long, man. I don't care if it rained. I don't care if there was oil. I don't care what was happening. It had that nice little shiny gloss to it the whole time. That track was phenomenal. Talk to me about track conditions at these type of races, Casey, because it really laid way to something that we haven't really seen in this sport, and to this extreme, I think.
Right. I can tell you one thing for certain. With that number of entries, with over 700 entries pushing on the door of 800 entries, I can tell you for a fact that there's only a few racetracks in the entire country that could have made that race actually get finished. Because don't forget, $1 Million Day at about 6 cars, it starts raining.
Yep.
And there's a very good chance that would either got pushed the next day or like I was texting you, I was like, you can't split and quit the OG Million. Any other race with that much, they're still at like $470,000 in the pot or something. So any other race, yeah, split and quit. Let's all go home type thing. But for the OG Million, you can't leave the OG Million without finishing it. You may never be in that position ever again to be able to win that race, the biggest race. Like that would be like the U.S. Nationals. You don't just leave the U.S. Nationals in the semis and say, oh, it's incomplete. You can't do that with the OG Million. But Gateway having not just one big jet dryer, but also a mini jet dryer, I believe also, Worldwide Technology Raceway has the biggest, baddest equipment. That's a national event facility. They have stuff for NHRA races. They have a double divisional there, and they have the tools they need to make that happen. If that was at a track that didn't have jet dryers, I don't think that race finishes. At least doesn't. I don't think the races with all the entries, they don't get finished. Bare minimum, they don't get finished. Yeah. The OG, maybe it does.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's going to be way late.
Yeah, either it's way late or it spills into Saturday, and I really didn't want to see that for the folks. Number one, they came in and put on what they put on that Gateway in the first place. You have that track rented for that many days. I seen a jumbotron out there. Ain't no telling how much money that cost. All right, so. Right. All I got to say is I definitely didn't want to see it spill into another day to where they had another day of track rental, another day of jumbotron. Everything is another day. So you're right, Casey. Without all of the equipment, without the know-how of the crew itself, in my opinion, I say again, Casey, like I said to you on the phone a little earlier, I haven't seen Gateway prep. I mean, I've seen it prep real nice a bunch of times. Man, I haven't seen that track spit out numbers like that ever, dude, ever. Everybody seemingly knew what to dial, or the car was going to run exactly what it ran the last pass, because that track did not waver. It stayed the same. How many dead-ons? I can tell you right now, I bet you in the double figures is how many times both of my dad's cars went dead on. In the double figures. High double figures too, man. So, probably made like 25 passes all weekend, I think, something like that, if that tells you anything. So that's saying something, man. Like, if I take old Mo out there to the OG Million, if he runs dead on every single time, you're going to have to take your hat off to the track crew. That's all I got to tell you.
Yeah, and I mean, they just got done repaving the track. I don't know if it was top to bottom. I don't know if it's 330 on, but I mean, obviously, it's all laser ground, everything like that. They're planning on the NHRA national event, I believe, is if not this month, next month.
Next week.
So is it?
Week.
Is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's the time of year. Well, as long as the weather's right, they're planning on setting records at Gateway for NHRA national records. So, you know, everybody knows for those fuel cars, all it is a matter of, will the track hold it? And that track's going to hold anything you want to throw at it. So, lots and lots of fast cars there this weekend too, because at Gateway you can go as fast as you want. 8th mile racing, you easily go as fast as you want and not run off. Then you can run a top fuel car there and not have to use the parachutes for 8th mile. You know, so let's talk about the big split real quick, because I know a lot of people, maybe you didn't get to catch TJ's live coverage. I was texting him right before during the day. I said, you're going to go live for the split, right? Because I feel like that's what people need to see. Because, for example, War in the Woods is a huge race, obviously, for the no prep guys. I think they won like $20,000 when Casey Max won this last weekend. Dude, after the split, we're paying $250,000 to win the OG Million, right? There was $550,000, I think, to split up at 21 cars. So people need to get that word out there, because I think a lot of people don't really realize how much money there is to win in bracket racing, and how you can have a car, like I've said it a million times, Nick Hastings' car, you can make money racing a car like that. Like, you can't make money in any other form of racing, really, but you can in bracket racing if you play your cards right and you do it right. But at 21 cars, if you lose, $10,000. 11 cars, you get 20,000, 30,000 at 6, 50 in the semis, 80 to the runner-up, $250,000 for Bart Nelson winning the race. So, I mean, you don't like, that's what's crazy. And I don't think a lot of these other races pay back either. That's just, it looks like a whole lot of money to win. Like No Prep Kings, for example. Oh, it's 50,000 to win. Yeah, it's 50,000 to win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We pay 50,000 to win, and then we'll pay like 10 to runner up, and then, you know, so on and so forth, down to like third round even or something. But so that being said, I have a question for you, and this is an interesting question, I think, because as I was watching the final, I'm sitting here watching the final with Gage Burch and Bart Nelson in the final of the biggest bracket race of every year. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Gage Burch, obviously he was on the show. I think he was our first show this year. So episode 140, I believe. Yep. So everybody go back and listen to that one with Gage. And I think Gage might be somewhere around, let's say, 25 years old. He's not very old, 25, maybe 26, something like that. If Gage Burch wins the OG Million and Bart Nelson does not, has Gage Burch won everything there is to win in bracket racing? Because don't forget, earlier this summer, Gage won like 47 rounds in a row.
Right. Where were we at? I remember. Yeah, there you go. There you go. He was unbeatable at Rockingham.
Yeah. I mean, Gage, obviously, whenever one of the first things where people really figured out who Gage Burch was, I know obviously people in the Southeast already knew, but
at 525.
It was that 525 when he got in Daddis's truck. Again, another, just by what I was just saying earlier, I think they said they had $8,000 in that truck, won a $525,000 to win race. And that's, everybody knew who Gage was at that point. Yep. Well, Gage ever since then has never slowed down. He just races, and works for a company that is primarily racing based, TBM brakes. I think, I don't know if Motion owns them or what now, but Motion, obviously Motion Raceworks. But the fact of the matter is that if Gage won that race, I don't know what else Gage has to accomplish. There were no more carrots out there. I mean, obviously, the guy's not going to quit racing. He's one of the best that's ever done it. But the fact of the matter is like, what else does Gage need to win in bracket racing at that point?
It's a true statement. The other question is, and a lot of people always joke with him. We saw Scotty Richardson joke with him. We saw Bart Nelson joke with him. But joke's gonna be over when he's one of the best to do it before that happens for him in his maturity. In his maturity, I'll keep it rated G. Who knows who's watching here, guys? But what we're gonna say then? You know what I mean? Casey, man, in all honesty, the only thing I don't think Gage has won is a Great American 500, but he might as well go for it and say he's won it all. You know what I mean? All right, I won this one, I won that one. I don't know if he's won a fling, big boy, either, but I guarantee he's probably headed out there to the fling to race on the mountain right now, here in the next couple of week. You know, so
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting one to watch for a lot of reasons. But dude, I mean, I can't imagine nobody's offered Gage the opportunity to really go racing for a living. I mean, I'd say he probably partially does that with Daddis right now. They're at every single big money race, but dude, I mean, it makes me think all the time that you got to know the right people or you got to be able to pay for it yourself, because someone like Gage, there's no way that pro stock teams don't know about him or something like that, you know, like it. And he's obviously earned his opportunity to do that if that ever was the case. Maybe he doesn't want to do that because, to be honest with you, he stands to make more money bracket race.
and he might just say, I thank you, I'm flattered, but I'm staying right here with this little bitty truck right here. Was that Daddis's car, that white car too?
I don't know. I think that might be Gage's personal car, but I'm not sure. I know the Mustang's his.
Because hired the race, whatever you want to call the person who hires the boss, whatever. Hats off to Matt Daddis. You the boss, bro. You the boss of hiring guns at this point. You didn't want enough. You want a lot of money off the back of Gage Burch, bro. Not to mention you can drive your tail off yourself. So, yeah. So
yeah. Let's talk about that. You brought up the Fall Fling 500K, and what a lot of people forgot, I think, by now is that 425 entries, those are single entries.
Right. That's right. And
so
now let's talk about it in the context of the OG as well, because guess what happened in the OG? They took away buybacks for every race but the OG. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really enjoyed that format because just like we've always talked here, it's a pretty big advantage to go against that person who's doubled every round in and out. You know, you find you a spot to fit in the lanes and you might be running somebody who's only single entered, especially when there's 760 something, however many entries. I can't even count the number, you know, it's that high. But I'm very interested in Spring Flings race because I feel like we're about to see even the OG going forward. Buybacks aren't going to be on the table anymore, guys. Next year, if the OG hits 800 entries in the small events, don't say you didn't hear it here first, because you heard it here first, because they're going to hit 800 entries in those small races. I'm going to be one of them. I'm telling you right now.
I think people really need to go and look at it. And I think this winter people finally are going to. I think people are finally going to look at my idea that I brought up for the last 2 or 3 years, which is you go to the race, you have the option double enter or single enter. If you single enter, you have the option for a buyback if you so need it. If you double enter, you've already spent your second shot. And there's so many entries, you almost have to go to at least a format like that, if not saying it's all singles.
True. Hey, check this out. I got Angelo Veloci over here, who's out there racing as well, man, putting on a pretty good show. Daddis and Bo own that car, he believes. Because that is a super stocker. Am I wrong? That's a super stocker. Am I right?
It probably used to be. It wasn't super stock legal, I doubt, at that event. Okay, but I do remember him, now that Angelo said that, I do remember him thanking Bo Butner. And I was like, well, I wonder why that is, because usually everything says, Butner on the side if it's Bo's car.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what. If that's the case, Matt Daddis, you received the Going Bracket Chief Executive Officer Award of the Year. hiring the greatest, probably one of the greatest at this point, Casey. We're going to have to come up with a list eventually, man, of a top 5. But I don't see a top 5 right now without Gage Burch being in it, at least currently. Just the current top 5, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man.
I'd venture to say this year, Gage Burch may have won the most rounds out of anyone this year, other than maybe Donovan Williams might be up there with him.
True.
Guess who's his best friend?
Right. Man, Casey, again, dude, though, this race turned into a practice tree race. I'm curious to see what happens on that mountain, because we know for a fact that the weather will change at the drop of a hat on that mountain. So if you don't got Crew Chief Pro or something out there hopefully it's Crew Chief Pro, just put it that way. If you don't have something to tell you what those weather swings are going to do, I'm going to be curious to see what happens to those dial-ins up there on that mountain, Casey. Because you didn't have that problem at Gateway. Gateway, you stuck a number on there, you probably didn't have to take the Joker off all weekend long. That's how good Gateway's track was. I've only seen one other race like that, and I was actually filming it. It was CP's Racer Appreciation Bash, I believe. It had the Top Bumper Shootout of the South in it, where Mass Traction came in there and prepped that track. So I know Brandon Mass can do it. I guess Gateway can do it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, Gateway has always been a place where you can hit the tree and go dead on all the time. I think a lot of people have that ability anymore. I think that a lot of people, for example, all these big money races, it's extremely rare that you see where the track's actually bad.
Yeah.
People blame the track being bad. Track's usually not bad. It's usually the vehicle that's bad for whatever reason. But ultimately, obviously, Bristol, I've never really seen Bristol have a bad track. It's going to be very interesting to see. But the thing I like the most about the single entry format is you typically see a different face in the winner's circle than you would otherwise expect. Those big names, the reason they're big names is because they are big names and they are great racers. You'll usually see them, they might pick up one or so of the victories, but they won't sweep the weekend. Like they might be in the split, one or two of them might be in the split, but you typically don't see the same faces in the finals that you otherwise would had the race been a double entry race.
I think you're right too, Casey. And maybe if we got time, maybe we do a power ranking next week, because I'm actually gonna think that we will see some of the bigger names in Bristol. Again, the only reason why is because you can let go of the button, but did you dial your car right on the mountain? Yep. Some of these guys are that these guys are good enough to hold enough numbers to make you look ignorant out there. I mean, I watched who did I watch do it? Jeff Serra. He had to be holding the 10th, and he was dead to the world, and made it look funny enough to where somebody broke out on him, and he was way behind him. Okay, so on that mountain, Casey, that's probably the only equalizer that single entries might not make a big difference is because of that mountain. And you're going to have to dial that race car, and then you got to do some damage at the finish line at the same time. So
the savvy finish line racer will be able to prevail at Bristol. That's one thing that's guaranteed.
Oh man, that's a fact. Unless we have an anomaly in the weather. How many times have we been in Bristol this time of year? I can't quite count it. Casey, do we come to Bristol this time of year every year, or is it just a different size race maybe? Because I can't remember the last time we've been on Bristol late September. What is the mountain what is it going to do? Is it going to stay stable or is it going to get ignorant?
Honestly, the hardest thing about that area, I feel like, is, it's right. The reason it's called the mountains because it's in the mountains. In that particular area in the mountains, the weather could be crazy that time of year because it could either be raining or it could be 75 degrees or it could be 85 degrees.
Crazy weather shift from 75 to like 40. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And day to day.
Altitude. So
don't forget, there's not a time run every single morning. So it might be 75 and sunny today. It might be 57 and overcast the next day, and it might be 85 the next day.
And we're going to see people in the bleachers too. Why? Because it's going to be all the racers sitting there watching to see who goes under or who goes way above, because that's how they're going to determine what they're going to dial, So, man, Casey, I am looking forward to that race, dude. Especially, you saw on the internet, I saw on the internet a whole train of cars leaving the OG to go to Bristol. So I'm pretty sure they're dropping their trailers, maybe getting on a plane and heading somewhere. Who knows, but good to see the Farmar boys heading out there on Team Texas. I'm pretty sure Bart Nelson, he's probably going to head out there too after winning. I mean, why not? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Going to be a heck of a race, Casey. Going to be a heck of a race. We should do a power ranking next week along with something else.
Definitely. Now I'll finally have time to actually put some thought into it now that I don't have to work every single day of the week. In theory, I haven't turned the project in yet, guys, so you never know what's actually going to happen. But we'll try to do something like that for sure. Another race we need to talk about is this Edgewater race, staging light race, Oktoberfest Nationals. If you're anywhere around that area, 10-20-10 for $400 at Edgewater again. So that's something that you don't want to miss for sure. I think it pays round money pretty good too. I don't have the flyer up in front of me, but I want to say it starts paying.
They've got it up. It starts. Looks like I think it's third round at $100 round money. If I can see this, I wear glasses, guys. I probably need a new script, but I can't hardly see. Looks like it starts at round 3 though. So $100, $150 for a single day entry is not bad. Running on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. So shouts out over there, Stage Light. Michael Beard putting on the race, and hopefully we get a big car count out there because I'm looking forward to watching that on Motormania TV as well.
That's right, man. And another thing we need to talk about is if you're a local North Carolina racer, specifically if you're a foot brake racer, I think this weekend is the Roger Rhodes race. $25 to enter, $2,000 to win guaranteed. purse, 800 for the runner-up. I think they start paying round money at 32 cars. I've been there the last few years. GBR is actually on the flyer for that deal, paying some round prizes, I believe. But Roger Rhodes race, man, it's like I said, if you want to do some cheap racing, you want to run for a guaranteed purse, $2,000 to win, $25 to enter. So you can double enter that deal for $50. Where can you do that?
Kinston.
That's at Kinston.
I seen some Facebook asking if you, or on YouTube asking if you're going to head out there. We know how busy your schedule's been, though, Casey, man. Yep. So, man,
it's hard to say, man. It's dependent on everything. Right now, it's raining out there, but I think the weekend is supposed to actually be nice. So there's a good chance I'll end up out that way.
I heard that.
It all depends on what's going on. To be quite honest with you, I've been working so much lately, I wouldn't mind not doing anything right now, to be honest with you.
Right.
So,
yep.
I don't know. We'll see. I know Dylan Champion will be out there, one of our auxiliary GBR, what would you call that? Hosts.
Yeah, he steps in for us, you know. Don't want to
He'll be doing some video.
He does the podcast as well, or the blog. I'm looking forward to that one. I haven't seen an old Dylan Champion vlog in a long time, so
I'm sure there'll be one this week.
Yeah, man.
Uncle Tony's in the chat right now on the YouTube side. He's a YouTube. Go ahead.
He said for you to come to St. Louis, he'd buy you a hotel room.
Yeah.
You don't got no reason not to come to the OG now, Casey.
Hey, all I got to say is everybody that's watching this deal needs to be like Uncle Tony and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get in those free giveaways that we're doing.
Right, we're giving away an alternator?
That's right. We're giving away an alternator this month. We got plenty of other stuff we're going to give away.
Proform Parts stepping up as always, man. As always. Remember who keeps who supports the bracket racing community, guys. Make sure you shop with them first. People who support us, or should I say, support the bracket racing community as a whole, not just GBR. So yeah, man. Casey, what you got in closing, bro? That was fun. I hadn't been back. I feel like I've been out for a month.
Hey, man, just as usual, congratulations to everybody that wins the at the OG Million. Congratulations, Bart Nelson, going down in the history books, the 29th annual Mickey Thompson Million champion. I know he's won bracket finals. I think he's won the national championship at Pomona before. But I mean, this has to be, if not the top of his trophy case, it has to be right there, even with something like that. I mean, that's obviously a huge accomplishment. Only one person a year does that as well. But dude, OG Million and the history that goes along with it, and just the lure of the OG Millions, it's the first mega race that was constantly perpetual every single year that everybody went to. Has to be on the top shelf, I would think.
Top shelf, man. Top shelf.
And he earned it. He didn't luck his way into it. That's the other thing. The most dominant, I'm going to say, the most dominant OG Million race winner ever.
Casey, it's real close that could have been the most dominating performance that we've seen in bracket racing ever. I don't know anybody who's shut it down like that before, Casey, man. All those lights you rattling off. I knew felt like from about round 4 on, it felt like he was 0-0 dead on every single pass after that. That's what it felt like watching it.
He was essentially. I mean, I'm looking at it. And don't forget, man, whenever he was 18 total that time, measly 18 total, he was probably lifting that run to be 18 total because he was 8 on the tree. So it's
one above,
it's just crazy, man. I'm gonna rattle off a couple things here again real quick just to solidify what we just said. So these are Bart Nelson's runs, just the ones that I thought were impressive during the OG Million. It's in the whole weekend. 7 total, 9 total, 8 total, 5 total, 3 total, 14 total, 12 total, 10 total. I mean, you can't mess with that. I mean, you're 10 on the tree and you basically don't have a shot almost all the time.
Right.
So it's crazy, man. Congratulations, Bart Nelson. You deserved it. That's for sure.
And I must say so, just on behalf of Team Texas, we got the big one this time, big dog. We can talk about that later. We got the big one this time. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of Going Bracket Racing, and we will see you guys, I'm pretty for sure about it too, next Tuesday. Like, subscribe, share, get in that raffle. That's all I got to tell you. Peace out.